Greetings, Garrison Tyranus, other 501st Garrisons, Rebel Legion, Mandalorian Mercs, Astromech builders, and fans from Earth to Alderaan. I'm Ken Jones, that's Dr. Jones on the forums, BH11370. And if you are a Star Wars fan, you are going to love today's episode. We catch up with a bunch of celebrities who also happen to be 501st members. We talk to my man Strider, aka the Hip Hop Trooper. We interview Brian Muir, who was the original sculptor for Darth Vader, the TK armor, and lots of other costumes on Star Wars. And we also catch up with Mike and Ming of the Comic Book Men and their podcast, I Sell Comics on Shared Universe. This is Tales from Tyranus. Hi, and welcome back, everybody. You know, Star Wars is a huge franchise, and it's continuing to grow. And Star Wars means different things to different people. But in today's tale, we hear from our celebrity members that whether you're an OT, an original trilogy lover, whether you're into the video games, the books, the comics, or the animated series, or whether you've taken Star Wars to the next level and mashed it up with other things that you're passionate about, there's a huge galaxy out there, and there's plenty of room for both the good guys and the bad guys doing good.
So, funny story. My mother worked in a movie theater when I was young, like this young, but could never find a babysitter. So I literally sat and watched movies all day long, one of which was Star Wars. I sat through those movies hundreds of times while my mother worked. And my dad worked on the military base, and he would bring me back a different figure every week. Because you know, back then, there was hundreds of figures. If you was in that movie at some point, at any point, you got a figure out. So I was just hooked. And you know, growing up as a kid in that era, that's what you had. Everyone loved Star Wars, you know, and the imagination took over with the toys. And then obviously I discovered hip hop, and they've always been my two biggest things. So combining them together was just natural.
Stormtrooper, how did it feel?
You know what? It's really weird. You put the helmet on and you can't see, and you can't shoot for it anyway.
Right.
So.
Yeah. How did it feel to shoot and like not be able to hit anything?
Like normal.
Yeah.
Actually, it felt weird because I'm a good marksman. I actually have a gun, so I can actually hit the target. But these guys, none.
None. Yeah.
None. Why am I a fan of Star Wars? To be honest with you, I wasn't at first. I was 10 years old when Star Wars first came out.
You didn't like it immediately?
Did not. You have to remember, and I think you're old enough to remember that the science fiction movie scene at that time
was awful.
Yeah. Dreck, garbage. And
but this one was good.
True, but we were disappointed so many times that
okay.
I was more of a horror fan. I'm like, all right, horror and comic books are my jam. So when Star Wars came out, I'm like, nah, you know what? I've had my heart broken by science fiction so many times before, and then
you weren't one of those people like lying around the block at the theater?
No, was not.
Dude.
And 10 months after it came out, I was in Florida on vacation with my family, and my father said, hey, why don't we go to a movie tonight? And we did. We went to see Star Wars.
At the age of 23, I had a phone call. Would I go back into the film industry and start on a sci-fi film? The film was Star Wars. I was told they needed some strange characters sculpted, and would I be interested? The first thing that I did, the job on the film I did, was the Stormtrooper armor. I did some finishing work on C-3PO, and then I was called into John Barry's office, and he said, we have a new character for you to start, and the character was Darth Vader. After doing the mask, George Lucas having come up, and he was happy with it. There were no concepts done for Vader. It was a one-off. There was hardly any time on it. I worked 76 days without a day off at one point. It was absolutely amazing. It was a year later in 77. The crew were invited to a crew showing up in London, and we'd all been very pessimistic as to what sort of a film it would be, and we were proven so wrong. When that first scene opens and you see that great big spaceship come overhead, there was a round of applause by the crew, and then at the end of the film, it got a standing ovation by this pessimistic crew that didn't think it was going to be a good film. We were just knocked out by it and realised that it was way ahead of its time.
You got to remember, Ming, back in the day, there was no VHS, there was no streaming,
no Netflix,
no Netflix,
There's
no nothing.
Netflix.
So you either saw it in the theater or you didn't see it at all.
Right.
And movies came in, and if they were good, they stayed in movie theaters for like, what, 2 months? But Star Wars was in for 10 months at that time.
Yeah.
Like, well, I guess it's good.
The Star Wars universe can get very, very complicated. And Star Wars, everything Star Wars is now with us, the fans, comes from expression and creativity. And don't be scared to think outside the box. Nowadays, when I first did my mashup, it was kind of unheard of. But now everybody's doing it. Some people like it, some people don't. But guess what? You invest hundreds of dollars and hours of time to go to conventions. Have a good time. Be yourself. You know, do what you want to do.
I love it. I love the 501st. I'm an honorary member and proud to be an honorary member of the 501st. And I had a photo shoot with the 501st. There are about 120 stormtroopers, and they were very respectful. They took the helmets off to have a picture with me, and then they put them back on to have the next picture. And I went to the end of the line, and a young lad who was terminally ill came out in a wheelchair. He didn't have long. And I said to the stormtrooper next to me, I said, "How do you guys do this? I'm tearing up here." And he said, "Why do you think we keep our helmets on? We always have fun with you guys, and keep it going. Keep trooping."
That's our tale for this month. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you see, please hit subscribe, ring the bell so you can be notified when future videos come out. If you're a member, please continue to send us your ideas. Send us pictures and videos of events that you're at trooping, or just ideas that you want to see incorporated into the show. If you're not a member but you're interested in joining, head on over to the forums at 501st.com, catch us at garrisontyrannus.com, on any of our social media outlets, or just email me directly at talesfromtyrannus@gmail.com. Remember, all you need is to love Star Wars, have some time to dedicate to this service-based organization, be 18 years old, and have a screen-accurate costume for one of the bad guys from Star Wars. And that's something we can help you with. That's what we're here for. So head on over to the forums and get started today. As always, we hope to see you out there in costume at your next troop, and may the Force be with you.